Hi guys, Scott Woodward with you to talk about the Parramatta Eels 2013 in the NRL. And look, I have to say, I've got a lot of mates that follow Parramatta, and I'd like to be able to come up with some good things to say, but I think they're a genuine contender for the wooden spoon. A lot of dramatic things would have to happen for that not to be the case, and for them to play semi-final football, a lot of players would have to improve in leaps and bounds for that to happen. They lack a lot of key things that requires a team to not only make the 8 but to play semi-final football, and it's folly to even think that they go anywhere near winning a premiership, despite the fact that Jarryd Hayne is in this side. Look, we'll talk about firstly, it's a Parramatta Eels side this year without Nathan Hindmarsh and without Luke Burt, but they've recruited a new coach in Ricky Stewart, and the first thing that I would have done if I was Ricky Stewart is I would have asked Luke Burt to stay another season. I think he's mistake-free. He's wonderfully plays a good position all the time, and he's just a sensational goal kicker. While Chris Endo is a good goal kicker, I thought he was a good side to have on the side, and I don't see anyone who's better than him than what they've got in the side at the moment. Let's go through the side. And obviously, just before we talk about the side, who I think will be the 13, and let me say I'm guessing a lot because I've got no idea what's in Ricky Stewart's head. I've never been able to work him out, so I could be way out here. And we'll talk about Ricky Stewart also. Ricky Stewart's a coach who's a media favourite, has got a 55% win record over the years. That was largely from the Sydney Roosters team that he inherited from Gus Gould. And he went on to win a grand final. Since then, the Roosters went backwards. His last 2 years at the Roosters, he had a 25% win record, and his last 2 years at the Cronulla Sharks, he had a 25% win record. He left both the Roosters and the Cronulla Sharks in tatters. And how somebody could offer a coach that has got a 25% win record at his last 2 clubs in the last 2 seasons, an $800,000 contract, is just absolutely beyond me. I just can't believe they've done that. Suggest to you that the Parramatta management haven't got much idea. You only have to look at the players that they've recruited, and it will tell you that they haven't got much idea. And the good players that they've let go in previous seasons that have gone on to other clubs and become absolute stars. They just clearly haven't got it right from the ground up at the club, and from the top up, recruiting your head coach, they haven't had a lot of success there either. I don't think this year will be any different. Let's see how we go. Just before we talk about what I think will be the likely 13, remember you can get the free download ebook by just going to that link down below and clicking on it, and you can download the free NRL ebook and the the AFL ebook. I think both ebooks will help you a lot with your competitions. Now look, Jarryd Hayne is not only clearly the best fullback in the club, but he's a long way the best player in the club, and quite frankly he could play anywhere and he would do well because he's a class act. He could play on the wing, could play in the centres, he could play 5'8", but he will be the fullback, despite the fact that Ricky Stewart doesn't think he is a fullback. I think he will be the fullback. He has to be the fullback. It's a little bit stiff for Jake Mullany. I thought he finished the year very well last year, and while Jarryd Hayne is away on origin duty, they know that they've got a good fullback to call on in Jake Mullany, and it's a shame that I can't fit him into my starting 13 because I think his form warrants starting. I thought he was one of the real bright lights of the Parramatta Eels last year. The 2 wingers, Ken Sio and Chase Blair, I think that's what will probably be my wingers. Look, I think they're both so-so wingers. I don't think they're any world beaters. For the centres position, Willie Tonga, perhaps past his best, suspect in the fence, but he is a class act and has got a lot of experience, particularly at start of origin level, and he will be one of the centres, barring injury, and Jacob Loco, who is a real young gun on the rise, but he had a terrible injury last year, and so he's back. So providing Tonga and Loco are injury free, they look like gimme as the 2 centres. Ryan Morgan will be a guy who'll be in contention for both the wing and the centre positions. But while he can bust a tackle, Ryan Morgan, and can do some good things, he can also do some bad things. Interesting to see how he progresses under Ricky Stewart. So that's sort of the first 5 in the back line. The next 2, the 6 and the 7, are big contentious points, with Jared Hayne not playing second receiver, that leaves Luke Kelly and Ben Roberts to fight out that position. And while I don't think there's a player in the NRL that's got more God-given talent than Ben Roberts, he just can't put it together for 80 minutes, and he's just got too many mistakes in him, and he's just got no idea in defence, and he's just too big a liability for me to have in a first grade side, Ben Roberts. So simply because of that, I would have to leave him out. And providing Luke Kelly can progress from what he did last year and for what we saw at the Storm, I think it's worth starting him with. But I don't think he's any world beater, but you certainly have to start with him. I don't think they've got anybody better in that position, given that Hayne will be playing fullback. When you're paying a guy over $600,000 a season, you sort of have to pick him, and that's what they've done with Chris Sando. He will be the halfback. Now, I value Chris Sando at about $200,000, and they've paid $600 plus for him. Now, I think he's going to get $690 this season. It just goes back to what I just said. People in Parramatta hierarchy don't know what they're doing, and they paid for it last year. He had a terrible season. Your halfback can't have a terrible season. If he has a terrible season, the club goes bad. Now, Chris Sando is supposed to be the organiser, the tactical kicker, and the talker. Now, he's not any of those things. And he's also one of the worst defenders in the NRL. If he's not going to be the worst guy on the stat sheet this year for missed tackles, he'll be the second worst guy. He has no idea in defence, and they've barred the shoulder charge, so he won't be able to do that even this year. So, look, Ricky Stewart didn't seem to think that he was fit, although he is a bit of a chubby guy. I didn't think he had a problem with fitness. His work rate was fine. His speed was fine. He's a very quick guy, and I don't have any problems with his speed. I don't have any problems with his fitness. But if Ricky's going to get him fitter, I don't think fitness is what he needs. He needs to learn how to run a team. And I think Chris is one of those guys who just loves to play football, and he's a great young kid, but he's not the organiser that Parramatta need. And sadly, they've had a million halfbacks, but while Peter Sterling's shoes were very hard to fill, they haven't had anyone that goes close to filling Peter Sterling's shoes since he retired 100 years ago. And that's what you have good recruitment teams for, to go and find those guys. Chris Sandown, they paid a fortune for him, and they stuffed up big time. I don't know how much they paid for Luke Hurley and Ben Roberts. Ben Roberts wouldn't have been cheap, but they're not their guys. They're not the 6 and 7 that they need. I know they've got some promising juniors. History has shown us that when they get a promising junior, they generally go to another club. So I'll be interested to see some of these guys that come through from Parramatta that we don't know that much of. And while I don't think that they will be making a big impact this year, maybe the year after that and the year after that is what we need to be looking at. Let's have a look at the forward pack. Tim Manor will be one of the forwards. He hits the ball up good. He's got a good work rate, and he's got a good fast play the ball, which is something that is very good to have for a big prop forward. You would think that Fui Moi Moi will be one of the others. They certainly would be mine. Bear in mind there's no Nathan Haimarsh this year. Now, while that's a massive loss in experience and leadership and work rate in terms of defence, I think in a funny way it's going to help Parramatta a lot, because Nathan Haimarsh did hog the ball a lot and take the ball up and die with it, and he did it at bad times when there was a try on, and he hogged the ball, and because he's such a dominant player, they gave him the ball at the wrong time. And without him there, I think you might see some guys in the forward pack come out of their skin a little bit, and you might see some of these guys improve much more than what we've seen in previous years. You'd think Ricky Stewart will probably start with the experienced Ben Smith, only because of his experience. One of the big promising young guns for Parramatta is Matt Ryan. I thought he was sensational last year, and I'm really looking forward to his progress this year. I'm hoping, along with him and Joseph Paulo, to me would be my second receiver. I think he's got those type of skills, and he can turn a game. He reads the game really well. And guys like Matt Ryan and Joseph Paulo, I'm hoping that Ricky Stewart doesn't turn them into workaholics and blunt their God-given attacking skills, because I think they're both kids that are both going to go a long way, and I'm looking forward to seeing their progress this year. Rennie Matua has been suspended, and he will be out for the first 2 rounds of this competition, and he's their best forward, so he's a monumental loss. You'd think probably Ben Smith will come on and fill in at lock forward. They've got a few other options, even guys like Daniel Harrison could even do stuff like that. So Lasalo maybe. just looking at the other guys that they've got, their big purchase was Darcy Lusick. I'm not a fan of his. I think he's a so-so player. I don't know how much they paid for him, but he's not someone that I would say, oh wow, okay, you've got him. I think he's overrated. I think he's a handy player, not a very intelligent player, does dumb things, can give dumb penalties away and lose the ball at bad times, not what you really want. I've talked about Matt Ryan and Joseph Paulo. Tautai is a guy who I think will make his presence felt. Mitchell Allgood is one of those big props who takes the ball up all day and is a big guy, a good presence on the field. But I've seen him play now for a few years. I'm still yet to see him pass a ball. Very predictable guy, got no skills whatsoever. Pat O'Hanlon is promising. Like to see how he progresses this year. High regard for Ken Edwards. I've heard good things about him. Looking forward to seeing if we see a bit of him this year also. Nathan Smith, Lasolo, who I talked about, and also Matt Eisenuth is one of the guys coming through. And look, Parramatta have got a lot of young kids that are coming through that are going to be in contention for some of those bench spots. And that's really going to decide how Parramatta are going to go over the next few years. But when we're talking about how they're going to go in 2013, I have to say, if they don't have Jared Hayne, they're going to be struggling to win a game. Their 6 and 7 don't do it for me. And their 9, Matthew Keating, look, he's a good club player. He's got a good work rate and he does everything okay. When you're in a key spine position like 9 in 2013, I don't think okay is good enough. So they've got an okay 9, they've got an okay 6 and an okay 7, and a world-beating 9. So that's 1 out of 4. I don't think it's good enough. I think their back line are going to struggle in defence. Willie Tonga and Jacob Loco are not noted for the defence. I think that will be a struggle for them. Look, the bright light for them is I think Reni Matua was sensational last year, and I think he's an outside chance to play State of Origin this year. He's going to be back in the side after 2 rounds, and I think if he can get a combination going with Matt Ryan and Joseph Paulo, I think this could be quite a dangerous forward pack, particularly when you've got forwards like Mana and Moi Moi up front. So there it is for me. I think this Parramatta side has got some potential. I think Ricky Stewart has got a hell of a lot of work to do. And look, I don't regard him highly as a first-rate coach. I think it's good to have Parramatta going well in the competition, and I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he has a great year, and I'll certainly be watching every game they have with a lot of interest, and hope they can progress some of those young kids. Good luck if you follow the Eels. Cheers.